Alright, so we're going to add the tether termination here, which is where we plug in the tether, and in our little bag here we have some of the electronics. We have the control box, which we're going to get to a little later on another video, and some pieces and bits and pieces, but what we're really looking for is this little green piece, this little circuit board. And this is where the tether is going to plug in. And this goes in the back, and you notice there's one end that has little plugs on it, and one end is open, and the open end is going to point out away from the robot. So that way the tether will come out the back of the robot. So these two propellers at the back, so I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to take this, and remember these little pins, I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to put a nice amount of glue on it underneath. Oh, but before I do that, I'm going to get myself a little zip tie, and I'm going to put it down through this hole and up through that hole. And I'm just going to close it to make sure it's ready to go. But that way then when I glue this here, I can use it to hook the wires up. If you don't do that, it's fine. It really doesn't matter. But it's just kind of a cool thing. All right, so now I'm going to put this here in the middle. And we want this to point more or less straight out and be really solid. So I'm going to add some extra glue there. And on the other side, the glue gun still works. I'm going to put another stick of glue in here. Because this is going to be what holds the tether in place, so we really want this to be nice and strong. All right, for this step, we're going to hook up the wires for the thrusters. And what's really important here is to get the right 3 wires in the right 3 spots. And to do that, you need to follow the labels, and it helps to know which motor is which, of course. So if you remember, this is the front of the robot. It goes like this. And if you were driving a car, this would be the left side, and this would be the right side. So that's how we will refer to it here. If this was really a boat, then this would be the port side and this would be the starboard side. Words to get used to. And the little on this board down here, there's the words port, starboard, and vertical, and L and R, so it makes it easier using all the terminologies. So let's start with the easiest one. This is the vertical, up and down. So I'm going to bring this wire in here, and this most left side one says vert underneath it. So I'm going to bring this wire around this side here. And when we plug these in, we want the red wire to go on that side. So I'm going to scoot this in here, plug it in, and so there we are. So the red wire is on that side. So next we want the motor that's on the starboard, the right side. So that's this motor here. But if you have a look, his wires come up and go over here. Whoopsie, a little confusing. Struggling. Right. Look at that one more time. So it's this motor here, which is the right motor. Pull them over here, plug them in. Once again, red wires on the same side. All right, which just leaves the last one, so we'll double check. This one over here is going to that thruster there, which is the left thruster, and this says L for left. So we know we've got everything correct here. So once they're like that, I'm going to take the little zip tie here, and I'm going to zip him down. I could have done him a little tighter, but at least that'll keep them out of the way. If you have a pair of scissors, you can just snip that little zip tie off. All right, so once we have the wires connected, this is the one that was already complete. You'll see it's kind of handy to keep them out of the way so that they don't touch the propellers and get caught. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some zip ties, and this is kind of up to you depending on how your wires go, but we're going to be able to punch holes with the little sharp dowel, the skewer that you still have, and then we can put the zip tie through the holes. So just looking at these, and I'm going to try and do something a bit like that over here on this one over here. So come on over. So here we have a set of wires, and I'm thinking, well, I could just tie these up on the side here. Remembering there's the motor is underneath here, so where you put your holes, you have to pay attention so you don't hit the motor, because if you hit the motor, it won't go through. So I just use my skewer. I'm going to get a zip tie. I'm going to put the zip tie through the hole here, bring it underneath, and then I'll probably just attach these wires down like this. He says. Way. I'll do one on the other side. Maybe over here, so I'm going to put a little hole in. Make sure you don't stab your finger when you do that. this last one over here, I think I just want to keep it down out of the way of this propeller. So I'm just going to put a little zip tie over here, I think. Just like that. And I'll snip these off. All right, so now all your motors are firmly mounted. You have your tether attachment point, and we're ready to go next step.